Packers at quarterback as they welcome their division rivals to the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis. The Green Bay Packers taking on Christian Ponder and the Minnesota Vikings. And hi again, everybody, alongside the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman and Pam Oliver. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to America's Game of the Week. You talk about the Packers are 6-0 for the first time since 1965. Mike McCarthy's trying to tell us, I'm selling my team on not getting tripped up here today. But when you have number 12 at quarterback, you like your chances.
Yes, you do, and he's playing awfully well. He's had a stretch of games here that are about as good as I've ever seen at that position, and one of the reasons why is he's got 6 players that he can get the ball to at any time that can beat a defense. You look at this game today, it's unlikely that the Packers are going to have a great deal of success running the football against the Vikings. Not many teams do. However, the Vikings are without 3 of their top 5 defensive backs. Not good when you're facing this explosive offense for the Green Bay Packers.
Well, facing a very difficult defense, and this is his first NFL start, is Christian Ponder. He takes over for the first time at quarterback, replacing Donovan McNabb.
Yeah, you know, and I think that they made the right decision, and going with Christian Ponder, it was time. You look at the things that he maybe brings to the game. He's an athletic guy. He can get out on the edges and make some throws. In fact, that's one of the things that offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave wants to do with him early in this game. The other thing is they really like his anticipation and throwing on time. Feel like they've left some plays out there on the field through some of the games earlier in the season. I'm looking forward to watching the young man play.
For more on the quarterback situation here in Minnesota, let's check in with Pam.
Well, Tom, Vikings coach Leslie Frazier just did not feel that Donovan was in a position to lead this team at this point. Donovan, meantime, disagreed, but he feels like now his role is just to help the kid. Donovan remembers fondly 13 years ago when he was a rookie inserted into the lineup, and Doug Peterson came along and helped him get used to his job and to do as much as he could. And now he feels like it's his time to reciprocate with Christian Ponder, and that's what he plans to do. Back to you.
Well, he's going to get a chance right from the get-go. Minnesota won the toss, selected to receive. So Green Bay to kick it away. Percy Harvin right at the goal line. And he is dropped out of the 27-yard line by Jordy Nelson. Christian Ponder, 23 years old, a native of Colleyville, Texas. A starter for 3 years at Florida State. Made his NFL debut in the 4th quarter last week in the loss to Chicago.
Yeah, and remember, Tom, in that game last week, they were down about 20 points when he came into the lineup. Sometimes for a young quarterback, it's easier to come in and play in those circumstances than it is when you've had all week to think about that first NFL start.
He's going to throw it on first down, out of the pocket and wide open. How about that for a first start? Michael Jenkins. Touchdown. Matt Ryan's very first NFL start. His first completion, a touchdown to Michael Jenkins. And now Christian Ponder, his first start, and his first touchdown throw to Michael Jenkins.
That's fun, right? I mean, you look at Christian Ponder right there, you've got to believe he was pretty amped up. A lot of nerves. He spoke about it just yesterday, the butterflies that he knew he would feel coming into this game. And the first play of the game, a pass by offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave. Play action, double move on the outside, and a perfectly thrown ball.
They're taking a look to make sure Jenkins got in. The question is, once that arm went down, are they going to spot this at the 1-yard line?
Yeah, it looks like it might come back to the 1-yard line. Michael Jenkins' right elbow, it looked, Tom, came down onto the ground before the ball had crossed the plane. Get a better look at it.
Of course, this season in the NFL, many of you aware, they review every scoring play, and they're taking a look at it.
See where the ball is? Yeah, whereas it looked to me, Tom, from that angle there, that when Jenkins' right elbow made contact with the turf, the ball was short of the goal line. I think this ball will come back to the 1 yard line, but how about what a play by Christian Ponder. You're going to see the play action. We anticipated him getting out on the edge so he can get clear vision down the field. They run the double move here on Tremont Williams with Michael Jenkins. He's expecting to jump. Heck, he thought he was going to have an interception on the play.
Pete Morelli, our referee.
After reviewing the play, the receiver was short, and the ball be placed on the 1 yard line.
So much for the history books for Ponder and Matt Ryan to Michael Jenkins.
But that's okay. I mean, years from now, you'd sure like to say my first pass was a touchdown. But what a great way to start his first NFL start. And you can see there's a lot of adrenaline running through that guy's body right there.
Stunned on the very first play from scrimmage. Ponder, the big hit to get it down to the 1. So first and goal for the Vikings. LaTroy Guion brought in for extra flopping beef in the backfield, and that's him right there, 98.
Yeah, I'll say 303 pounds of blocking beef right there. I don't anticipate they'll hand him the ball, though.
Peterson lost a yard. Leslie Frazier's team has done well in the first half of games this year up until that humiliating loss against the Bears last week. They're trying to jump in front here, and Ponder rolling right, throws, and it's a touchdown to Visanthe Shiancoe.
You see Shiancoe, and then it's just a foot race to the corner. Morgan Burnett trying to keep up with him, but boy, 2 impressive throws there by Christian Ponder, and play action to the left, play action to the right. Even this ball right there thrown perfectly. Kind of fitting that he got the touchdown pass after the first play of the game.
First touchdown surrendered by this Green Bay defense in the last 6 quarters of play, but it didn't take long. Going after by the former Packer Ryan Longwell is good. So welcome to the NFL as a starter, Christian Ponder. His first career touchdown throw.
Well, not quite as nervous as he was a week ago when he got into that ball game. He'd forgotten to buckle his chin strap when he got into the game last week against Chicago. And then, of course, Donovan McNabb, a difficult week for him, being told that he was not going to be the starter. But as he said throughout the week, he was going to be supportive. And as Pam Oliver reported, you know, he went through a very similar situation almost 13 years ago to the day when he replaced Doug Peterson his rookie season.
Ponder grew up around the game of football. His father, a former defensive tackle at Florida State, had a short stint in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. And he'll keep that football. You still have the football, the first touchdown pass you threw?
I don't have any footballs from when I played. I think Emmett took all those. You know, you speak of Christian Ponder's father. He's at the game here today. He said he wanted seats as far away from everybody that he could find.
Randall Cobb, the rookie out of Kentucky. And he's tripped up, and a late flag comes in. 21-yard line. We wait on the flag.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 43 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's M.D. Jennings, a backup safety. And an injured Packer down on the field. I believe it's number 20 down there, Alex Green, another rookie out of the University of Hawaii. So very quickly, Mike McCarthy's Packers trailing 7-0. There you see the left leg of Green, cut from behind by the return man Cobb, and he's able to walk off.
I thought it was interesting in talking with offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave on Friday, Tom, and I said, just what do you expect from Christian Ponder? How do you think he'll play? He says, I think he'll light it up. He said, I think he may throw 1 or 2 interceptions in the ball game, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if he has 4 touchdown passes by the time it's over. And, well, he's well on his way. He's got 1 after 3 plays.
1 minute and 6 seconds into the game. Little delay that did not fool anybody. Minnesota traditionally has been as stingy against a run as any team in the NFL. That was Aaron Henderson, a first-year starter, and yes, the younger brother of middle linebacker E.J. Henderson. Second and 10. With Michael Finley, the tight end, very close to a first down. Depending on his spot, it looks like he has enough up to the 20-yard line. So many weapons for Aaron Rodgers and his Packer offense 6 weeks into the season. Number 1 in the league, averaging 32 points per game. Green Bay its first possession. A first down catch to Jermichael Finley. Already 7-0 Minnesota. 319. Jordy Nelson. A first down to the 34. For those of you just joining us around the country, Christian Ponder throwing a pass to Michael Jenkins, very first play of the game. Got down to the 1-yard line for a touchdown to Visante Shanko. Keep an eye on Marshall Newhouse, the left tackle today.
Yeah, he's done a nice job actually throughout the early part of this season. He had to make 2 starts at right tackle when Ryan Balaga went down, and now he's making his 3rd start at left tackle for Chad Clifton. So he's gotten some playing time at both tackle positions already this season.
Good strong run by Ryan Grant. He's up to the 41-yard line. Defensively for Minnesota, Troy mentioned it a short while ago, so many guys out in that secondary. Chris Cook was arrested 2 nights ago. And Jamarcus Sanford had a concussion last week. He won't start. Tyrell Johnson will.
Yeah, and with Antoine Winfield now missing his 3rd straight game, Chris Cook was their best corner. You know, Cedric Griffin, he has been struggling, so it's a huge blow to this secondary that was already limited.
Ran a first down carry up to the 47-yard line. Let's check in back in Los Angeles for the first time with Kurt Menefee.
Well, much like the Vikings in your game, the Cowboys start off with a big explosion. The rookie, DeMarco Murray, takes the 3rd play from scrimmage for Dallas. 91 yards for the touchdown. Just like that, they're all over the Rams. 7-0 in the first quarter. Tom, Troy, and Pam.
Thanks, Kurt. We like what we saw out of Murray last week in that loss up in New England.
Yeah, and that just came about because of the injury to Felix Jones, and the staff was impressed with what he showed, and I'm pretty impressed with what he showed today already.
Rodgers rolls, throws, wow. To the 27-yard line, another first down connecting with Greg Jennings.
We talked about it coming into the game, just the number of guys that Aaron Rodgers has that can beat a defense. You know, we see it each and every week. It's somebody else that steps up and makes a play, and right now Greg Jennings is really having himself another great year. Last year got off to a little bit of a slow start. Jermichael Finley, on the other hand, was playing exceptionally well. And then when Finley got injured, Greg Jennings got more and more involved in that offense, and he's just continued this year right along where he was last year.
Jones hangs on and stretches out to the 9-yard line. 1st and goal, Packers.
I think James Jones is one of those great examples that, you know, there's only one ball to go around to everybody. Last week, James Jones only had 1 reception. It was a big catch, went for a touchdown. And I know that he was frustrated earlier in the season, but shoot, Tom, 2 weeks ago, he had 5 catches for over 100 yards in that one. So you never know when it's going to be your day. But I think Aaron Rodgers done a great job of not trying to force feed anybody and just take what the defense has given him each week.
Cobb inside the 5. He's down to the 2. That's another weapon.
Well, this defense for Minnesota, you know, the 2 guys who have to have an impact in this game is Jared Allen and Brian Robinson. This defense over the years has been as good as their pass rush has allowed them to be. And although Jared Allen has been good throughout this season, he leads the league in sacks. They have got to be able to get to Aaron Rodgers. Otherwise, we're going to see this kind of stuff throughout the day.
Rodgers, 5 out of 5 has completed passes to 5 different receivers. Make it 6 different receivers. Touchdown, John Kuhn. I don't know if it gets much more surgical than that right there.
Well, this is a great example of what Aaron Rodgers has done throughout this season. Is he's not going to force the ball. He really wanted to go front side. He felt pressure coming in on his backside. John Kuhn, who started in the backfield, he just leaked through the line of scrimmage, worked back to his left. Aaron knew exactly where he needed to go with the football on the outlet throw. Touchdown, Packers.
6 out of 6, 76 yards and a touchdown, the 18th of the year for Aaron Rodgers. Ponder made it happen on the opening drive for Minnesota. Rodgers the same for Green Bay.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Welcome you back to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Already a 7-7 game. Taking a look at Greg Jennings' right thumb that appears along that Packers sideline. Percy Harvin brings it up to the 25-yard line. For John Kuhn with a touchdown reception to tie this game at 7.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Second offensive possession of the game from Minnesota. 7-7, 8:29 left in the opening quarter. Adrian Peterson carries for close to 4. Peterson, the 6th leading rusher in the NFL with 537 rushing yards. Kyle Rudolph getting the start alongside Shenko in the 2 tight end set. And a change right in the middle at center. Lodeholt did come back after the injured knee last week.
Always a little bit of a concern, obviously, when you've got a young quarterback making his first start, and then you're going with a new center as well. Even though Joe Berger has played in this league, this is his 21st NFL start. He's not the usual guy, John Sullivan, who's got much more experience making those calls for that offensive line.
Ponder rolling, throws, and it's caught by Devin Aromashadu. You may have noticed one significant missing name and number in that Minnesota offense, Pam Oliver.
Well, Bernard Berrien, who's been in some trouble with Coach Leslie Frazier over missed meetings recently, was a scratch again today. The Vikings won't say what the infraction was during pregame warmups. I asked Berrien what he did, and he laughed and said, "Nice try, Pam. You know I can't talk about it, but I've been led to believe this could be other infractions involved too." Back to you.
Berrien had the incident already earlier this year after tweeting. There's a strong run by one of the stronger runners in the game, Peterson, a gain of close to 10. Let's go back to Kurt Menefee.
Dolphins had a 15-0 lead over the Broncos with less than 3 minutes to go, but in overtime, Matt Prater's 52-yarder won it for Denver. 18-15 the final. The story, Tom and Troy, Tim Tebow threw 2 touchdown passes and a 2-point conversion, all in the last 3 minutes to tie the game to send it to OT.
Tell you what, there may be a lot of naysayers about what he can and can't do, will or won't do. But he gets a win in his first start this season. Early game debuts for guys making the start today. Tebow winner. John Beck replacing Rex Grossman, a loser. And Charlie Whitehurst for Seattle, throwing for just 97 yards.
Well, yeah, a lot of guys making, Charlie Whitehurst, that was not his first start, nor was it John Beck's, but a lot of guys who either hadn't played in a while getting a chance to play today, or a lot of guys making their first start, like we saw from Tim Tebow. Congratulations to him and the Denver Broncos, and then of course right here with Christian Ponder.
Marvin read beautifully by Matthews. It turns into a 2-yard pickup. Green Bay defense has surrendered better than 1,800 passing yards in the first 6 games of the year. Of course, the corners, Woodson and Tramon Williams, have been nicked up.
Yeah, they have. And I know Dom Capers isn't real happy about the yardage that they've given up, but they've gone the last 6 quarters without giving up a touchdown, and at the end of the day, that is the most important part. They're still very aggressive defensively and creating takeaways, and they do a nice job once a team moves the ball down inside the 20-yard line.
2nd and 7. Short pickup by Peterson. First met by Matthews. 3rd down upcoming.
Matthews does a really nice job on that particular play. Anytime you're trying to make a play on Adrian Peterson, not easy to do, but you're going to see what he's able to bounce around there, Jim Kleinsasser, and still come in and make a play then on Adrian Peterson. And I know there's some frustration right now with Clay Matthews. He doesn't have the sack totals, but yet he is making an impact on these games. He's an excellent run defender, as we saw right there, but he will be in that backfield wreaking havoc throughout this day.
3rd and 7. And bobbled in and out of the hands of Lorenzo Booker, so Minnesota will punt for the first time.
If Booker was able to make that catch, he was going to come up short of the first down, but then Leslie Frazier would have had a decision to make, because they would have been on about the 38-yard line and likely would have gone for it then on 4th down. Coming into this game, Christian Ponder's accuracy was a bit of a concern, according to offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave. What I've seen so far, Tom, he's made some very accurate throws on each delivery.
Calling for the fair catch is Cobb. So Rodgers and the Green Bay offense back at it, starting this drive from the 14.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the Ford F-150, the only truck available with EcoBoost. By new Dr. Pepper 10, 10 calories, 23 flavors. It's not for women. And by Verizon, the official wireless service provider of the NFL.
Seven game, 4:14 to play here in the opening quarter. And Aaron Rodgers, who hit on 6 of 6 for 76 yards and a touchdown on their first drive, connecting with 6 different receivers, works out of the shotgun. Seven to 7.
We talk about Christian Ponder making his first start. I asked Aaron Rodgers if he had any advice to give to the young rookie. If he had a chance to talk to him, he says, I would give him the same advice I gave to my brother on Friday. Aaron Rodgers' brother, Jordan Rodgers, made his first start for Vanderbilt yesterday in a win over Army, and that is just try to slow the mind down and trust your feet. And what he meant by that was not rush things, and if you don't rush things, then you'll have a tendency to throw on balance.
James Starks across the 45 to the 47-yard line. Of course, Starks rehabbing an injured hamstring during the entire preseason last year, exploded during the postseason.
Well, you're going to see Bulaga just collapse that backside, and then that's where Starks is able to run. They just take it right up the gut.
Starks had a big game in a wild card victory against Philadelphia. 123 rushing yards. And he is buried by Jared Allen in the backfield on first down.
Jared Allen, another one of those defensive pass rushers that plays the run pretty well. You know, he's not just a one-dimensional player. And I know he's as disappointed and as frustrated as anybody with the season that this Vikings team has had up to this point. He says, hey, I put it on the defense. You know, yeah, we haven't done some things real well offensively, but we've had leads. In fact, they blew halftime leads in all three of their first three games. This season could have been a lot different had they at least won a couple of those.
Jennings gets a big chunk of it back. It'll bring up third down and right at 2 yards to go.
We're watching Minnesota defensively, and rightfully so. They're giving a lot of respect to these Packers wide receivers, playing very soft in coverage. And everything Aaron Rodgers has wanted to throw underneath has been wide open.
Those consecutive completions to start a game in the career of Aaron Rodgers. 8 on 8. And Allen got him from behind. His NFL leading 10.5 sacks on the year.
Well, as we said, he's got to be a difference maker in this game. Typically, the Packers want to give a little help to their left tackle, Marshall Newhouse. They don't on this particular play. And on the backside, Aaron Rodgers knew he was getting some pressure, but didn't know it was going to get on him as fast as it did. Nice stop there by Jared Allen.
That's a new Vikings team record, 9 consecutive games with a sack for Jared Allen. Marcus Sherrills, a local out of the University of Minnesota, dropped right at the 10-yard line. A flag thrown down. Pat Lee with a tackle. It's now 5 straight years, double-digit sack numbers for Jared Allen.
During the run, illegal block in the back. Number 39 of the receiving team, half the distance to the goal. First down and timeout.
A mighty good start, first career start for the rookie Christian Ponder.
I'll have some butterflies, on Sunday. A little different atmosphere, a little different stage. Once that first play comes and I get that first hit, I'll be all right. I see this as a great opportunity for me and defending Super Bowl chance, an undefeated team. But we have them at home. It's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be exciting.
3 out of 4, 87 yards and a touchdown. I don't know if he's been hit yet.
Yeah, the first play was not a hit. It was awfully good, though, and settling the nerves.
There was a hit here in Minnesota. Dangerous throw there. Closing fast was Jared Bush, who nearly picked it off.
I thought it was interesting in talking with head coach Leslie Frazier, because during the week he said, hey, I feel Christian Ponder gives this team the best chance to win on Sunday, not down the road, but this Sunday. And I thought that was interesting when you're talking about a 13-year guy in Donovan McNabb. And he said, I just felt that if we stayed status quo at the end of Sunday, we would be 1-6. And so that kind of puts it into perspective as far as why a change was made and why Christian Ponder's now in the lineup.
Percy Harvin takes a handoff, and he's up to the 11-yard line. A third down upcoming.
You know, Christian Ponder, of the quarterbacks coming into the draft this year, he and Andy Dalton were probably the two most prepared to come in and play right away. and because of that, Dalton was a 4-year starter at TCU. Christian Ponder was a 3-year starter at Florida State. Of course, we've seen what Dalton has done in Cincinnati and then Cam Newton as well in Carolina. I think that if the Vikings had known they would get off such a poor start, this young man would have been the starter from day one.
Another dangerous throw, and that's right into the teeth of the strength of this Packer defense to Charles Woodson. It's 3 and out.
Yeah, after coming out and two dangerous throws, you're right, Tom, that in this league, which is a little bit different, may have gotten away with a little bit of contact there prior to the ball reaching Percy Harvin, but in this league you really have to look at angles, and the angles are a little different than what they are in the college game. Certainly balls are much more contested, guys are faster. You got to be real smart on those type of throws.
Ball is bobbled by Cobb, and Minnesota recovers in midfield. Toby Gerhart there to cover it up. First mistake made by the rookie out of Kentucky. And Ponder and the Vikings right back on the field, a 7-7 game. Of course, for years and years when the Minnesota Twins played here, guys lost balls in the dome all the time. You don't hear about it much in football.
No, but the roof is different. I mean, it's a different kind of domed roof than, of course, the stadium is one of the oldest stadiums in the league, but it is a challenge.
Peterson breaking tackles and bounces to the outside. That'll be a gain of 12 for Adrian Peterson. That'll be the final play of the opening quarter. 7-7. These NFC North rivals. After the turnover by Randall Cobb, Ponder and the Vikings with a first down at the Green Bay 40. Play fake to Peterson. Ponder looking down the field, and he'll hang on after the pump fake. And a good pickup. That's something you talked about, Troy Aikman, before this game got started. Very athletic at 6'2", 229 pounds is Christian Ponder.
Yeah, even going back to the action that he had last week against Chicago, it's pretty obvious that he has great confidence in his ability to get out of the pocket and then make plays. And it's one thing to do it in college. It's a little different trying to do it in the NFL. I mean, as we know, these guys are a lot faster. I found that out my rookie year when Reggie White caught me from behind. It didn't look to me like he was going to be able to make the corner there. He turned that into a nice gain.
6-yard gain. And then Peterson on second down. Second lost helmet by a Packer today, this time Charlie Pepper. Of course, football all day today, tonight. What's in store for Albert Pujols? Joined Babe Ruth and Reggie Jackson as the only two players in the history of the World Series to club 3 home runs in a game. Game 4 tonight on Fox. Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal and company. Your Texas Rangers down 2-1.
That was an offensive explosion last night.
Good throw on third down. Percy Harvin to the 26.
Good throw on third down and a good accurate throw moving to his left. This is a ball that you've got to really get out with some pretty good timing so the receiver doesn't run out of real estate there along the sideline. And I've been impressed so far with what I've seen of Christian Ponder.
50 line in the box. Down. Blue 80. Blue race hot.
A dart down to the 10-yard line. Catch made by Michael Jenkins.
And what we're seeing from Ponder is he's being very decisive on where he's going to go with the ball, and that's one of the things that Bill Musgrave talked about on Friday was the decisiveness in the decision-making process, that he's not back there holding it. He felt that receivers were going to get the ball when they had separation from the defenders. And then also it was going to take a lot of the pressure off of this offensive line because he wasn't going to be holding in the pocket and giving up the sacks. We've seen those things that Musgrave talked about on Friday develop here in this first half.
Down! Done!
Well, they can't get a first down. It's spotted outside the 10. Peterson close to the first down. Did he get in the end zone? Just short, it appears. That's about the only spot you can get tackled and pick up a first down.
We're going to see the fullback, D'Imperio, who comes out and is the lead blocker then for Adrian Peterson, who kicks out. Some good hard running there after contact by Adrian Peterson.
Of course, that's his MO.
No question. He'd rather do that than fake you out. Right?
Wait till about his 8th year in the league. Contact and runs right through it. Touchdown, Adrian Peterson. This is without a doubt an inspired Minnesota Vikings offense, at least in his first half.
Well, it's a good job of cashing in after the turnover created by special teams.
And the Vikings indeed taking advantage of that Green Bay turnover, turning it into 7.
Today's game is sponsored by the Miller Lite Aluminum Pint. 4 more ounces of that great Pilsner taste. By Sprint. All football, no limits. Only from Sprint. And by Cadillac.
An extremely lively crowd, and why not when you start like this? Minnesota leading 14-7. Adrian Peterson stood up by A.J. Hawk, but enough muscle to get into the end zone. All that on the heels of the would-be punt return, fumbled by the man who catches the ball now, Randall Cobb, and he'll take a knee. You know, coming in, everybody and his brother had advice for Christian Ponder in this his first NFL start. As you turn back the clock, Troy Aikman, did you have any advice before your first start?
Well, actually I did. We had a left guard named Crawford Kerr. His nickname was Big Daddy because he called everybody Big Daddy. So his big advice for me going into my first start was, he said, hey Daddy, you know, I'm pretty good, but I can't block him all the time, so don't you be afraid to tuck that baby and run, right? Now, unfortunately, that was his advice before every game. So about the 5th game of the season, I finally said to Big Daddy, I said, hey, you've been telling me this every week. How about Big Daddy block somebody at least some of the time?
Oh, that is a great story. Aaron Rodgers, after all that, and he finds Andrew Corliss, a backup tight end, all the way to the 42-yard line, a 22-yard pickup.
And that's what happens. There was great coverage on the back end, and Aaron Rodgers just able to buy time. And if he's able to do that, eventually somebody's going to get free. It's unrealistic to expect Asher Allen or anybody on the back end, I don't care who's the defensive back, to hold coverage for that long.
Quick hit to Jennings. And he slips through a tackle and is able to pick up 4, maybe 5. You can't block him every time, Daddy. Oh, boy. That is funny.
He said, they get paid too, Daddy. You know, that was a tough year for us.
Yeah, it was.
Christian Ponder's already had a better rookie year than I have.
Another quick strike, this one to Jones. And he's down to the 41-yard line. All right, Troy, we go back to that first start against the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, they were pretty good, too. They had Pat Swilling and Sam Mills, and they had a lot of really good players. Of course, we thought we were pretty good, too. We went 3-1 in preseason, and somebody forgot to tell Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones that those games don't count. We were blanked, as you can tell. There were actually some better plays by me in that game than what our editing staff with Fox put together.
Yeah, I mean, they work with you every week. They ought to treat you a little better than that.
Well, you would think.
Nice play in the backfield by Brian Robinson. Robinson, a backup, very valuable backup each of his first 4 years in the league with Minnesota. Boy, it was tough to crack that defensive front when they had Allen and Kevin Williams and Pat Williams and Ray Edwards around. But Robinson getting a chance to start and has played well.
He has played well, and he's already gotten more sacks here through the first part of the season than he had all of last year. And between he and Jared Allen, those are two guys, they're not going to stop. I mean, they're going to give it everything they've got each and every play. They don't take plays off.
Little delay to Starks. And he's to the 35-yard line. A 3rd down and 5 coming up for Green Bay.
Well, Green Bay is actually running the ball pretty well. With limited carries, they've had some success when they have run it. And of course, Mike McCarthy's always talked about it's not so much about the yardage for him as much as it is the rushing attempts and maintain some type of balance.
First down conversion on the pass to Jennings, and Aaron Rodgers still perfect, 12 of 12.
And again, the Vikings are just playing awfully soft on the outside. You see, Aaron Rodgers was looking out that way to see how the corner was playing. And Asher Allen has given respect to Greg Jennings. He's soft. Aaron sees it, but he doesn't want to turn his head and draw any more coverage underneath that route, knowing, okay, get your back foot planted in the ground and then deliver a good throw and pick up the first down.
Ryan Grant. Robinson wraps him up, but not before a gain of 3. We talked about all the bodies that are out for Minnesota in the secondary, including Chris Cook, arrested 2 nights ago. Pam Oliver.
Yeah, the Vikings are getting mighty low at corner. Chris Cook, who has started the last 3 games for the injured Antoine Winfield, was arrested early Saturday. He's being held on 2 domestic assault charges, one of them a felony. The team is also investigating. Of course, illegal, probably not too far behind. Back to you.
Cook, in fact, is still in jail. Will be arraigned tomorrow morning. Flag comes down. Asher Allen got tangled up along the sideline with Jones.
Pass interference, number 21 defense. Automatic first down.
That was one of the few times that we've seen the Vikings, not just Asher Allen, but either corner, come up and challenge these wide receivers. I'm talking about Chris Cook. I thought it was maybe a rush to judgment by the Vikings deciding not to play him until I was informed that he hadn't even gotten out of jail yet.
Screen to Starks. Played well defensively by Tyrell Johnson, coming up to make the stop. There is a flag on the far side.
Illegal shift on the offense. 5-yard penalty repeat. First down.
Well, this Green Bay offense has been so good this year in scoring points, and a big reason for that is because they've been so good down here in the red zone. They're one of the best in the league scoring touchdowns when they get inside the 20-yard line. It's important for Minnesota. they don't want to turn this into a shootout. It's going to be important for this Vikings defense, especially now with 1st and 15, to hold this team to a field goal attempt.
Catch made by Jennings. Will get 4 of the penalty yards back, and that ties a career high for consecutive completions for Aaron Rodgers. 13 in a row to start this game.
I think one of the things that I'm most impressed with Aaron Rodgers, as you see a perfectly delivered ball, is it's rare that you see him throw into coverage. Not many opportunities for interceptions when you're playing against this guy.
Caught from behind again, and a second time by Jared Allen.
It looked like they were running some type of screen, because you're going to see Marshall Newhouse right here. He just lets Jared Allen go. Jared Allen comes underneath. You see Newhouse going downfield, but there's no screen back there, so I'm not sure what Newhouse was thinking. But Jared Allen, a good job actually by Aaron Rodgers not fumbling that ball. He sensed the pressure on the backside and was able to at least secure it and not turn it over.
Well, you mentioned this Minnesota defense needs to stand tall on this drive. 3rd and 16. Dropped. That's been a problem of late. 10 of them in the last 2 games by this Green Bay offense.
They've had too many, and this was a big one here. I don't think he scores, but I do think that he's going to be challenging to pick up the first down if he makes this catch. This is a good throw by Aaron Rodgers. He delivers it sidearm because he had to, with the defender in his face, and he put it right on the money. You think of the numbers that Aaron Rodgers has this season, and then you combine that with the number of drops that he has had. I mean, those numbers could be astronomical.
Field goal try by Mason Crosby, and he's just set a Packers record, hitting on 18 consecutive regular season field goals. As some extracurricular activity, it looked like Robinson and T.J. Lang were the 2 primary combatants.
Yeah, I got it.
That's not good. That's Robinson's foot on T.J. Lang.
The field goal is good. Personal foul. After the play was over, number 96 of the defense. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. Timeout.
Well, they got the right guy, which is not normally the case. There's no place for that.
Carl Dunbar, the defensive line coach, bringing his guys around to see what's going on defensively. That was a much-needed stop right there, at least holding him to a field goal stop and not a touchdown.
Absolutely, that was a big stop. I mean, that's a big part of this, and the Vikings have been good in that area throughout the season.
I saw that play, Robinson and Lang hooking up, but it started before that. We'll talk more about it in a moment.
Today's game is sponsored by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers.
11 plays, 59 yards. Rodgers with an incompletion for the first time all day. Hit on his first 13 before the drop ball by Randall Cobb. So first down for the Vikings, and they'll give it to Gerhardt in his second year out of Stanford. We were talking about some physical play after the whistle play. Jermichael Finley and Jared Allen getting tied up here. Well, Finley not backing down. And then this from a moment ago, Robinson kicking T.J. Lang.
Welcome. Down. Blue ready. Blue is hot.
Blitz coming. Ponder throws and knocked down by Woodson. Looked like Aroma-Shadu never turned around.
Boy, I don't know that these receivers are quite accustomed to the ball coming out quite that quick. Really good timing on Ponder's part. It looked like it might have been, yeah, it was a little bit behind him. I think even if it had been out in front, that Aroma-Shadu wasn't prepared for that particular throw. But you know, you get a quarterback, he continues to throw it on time. You know that's what's being preached to him, you know, throughout this week. Those receivers, they'll get their head around.
They've done a very nice job protecting the rookie Ponder, making his first NFL start. Full house blitz coming here. He gets it away, and it's a first down.
Just an excellent throw. A ball that was challenged by Desmond Bishop. He's complaining, feeling like maybe there was some contact by Shenko. You're going to see the throw here that Ponder makes. It's good coverage at the top of it. You see Desmond Bishop felt that Shenko extended his right arm and got separation. He did extend his arm. I don't think there was that much contact, nor should there have been a foul, a penalty on the play. But those types of throws for a quarterback, you know, you really got to make sure you lead them, because disaster occurs when you throw behind a receiver on out-breaking routes. And Christian Ponder, as I said, he has been very accurate with the throws throughout this first half.
Peterson wrapped up good, tackle by Pepper. Right back to the line of scrimmage.
Of course, we all know Charles Woodson. He's pretty good around the line of scrimmage. They put him on the slot receiver. They bring him on pressure a lot. And Ponder had to navigate him a little bit in order to get that throw off, but well read by the Green Bay Packers.
Right guard Anthony Herrera is down on the field, and we'll take a timeout. Brandon Fusco, 63, replaces the injured Anthony Herrera. Of course, Herrera injured his knee last year against Green Bay. In week 11, it was lost for the year. Matthews along with Ryan Pickett in on the stop of Peterson. A 3rd down and 8 coming up.
You know, Adrian Peterson, for a guy who constantly faces an extra defender down trying to stop the run, for him to be able to still continue to put up the numbers that he does is pretty impressive. And then, you know, contrary to that, you would think that the Vikings would be a lot better on big pass plays down the field, because constantly on early downs they're seeing one-on-one matchups, but they just haven't been able to take advantage of those like you would expect.
Of course, that was with Donovan McNabb at quarterback. Today we're getting a look at Christian Ponder, and that's a 3rd down and 8 that he converts to move the chains.
It's a great throw by Ponder. You know, you run the slant route, and there's going to be a contested throw, and you throw it low to protect the receiver. Outstanding.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Visa. More fans go with Visa.
Green Bay, the only remaining unbeaten in the NFL. Of course, Detroit lost for the first time last week. They lose again today, this time at home against Atlanta. And the Bears went over in London. Your old sidekick, Moose Johnston, over there calling that one.
Yes, he was. Looking good. Looking good doing it, too.
As always.
No! Cut!
So now we're going to look at Ponder in the 2-minute
False
offense.
start. Number 76 offense. 5-yard penalty remains. First down.
That's a 7-time Pro Bowl left guard, Steve Hutchinson. Ponder 8 out of 12, 126 yards and a touchdown. Jenkins a big 72-yard catch on the very first play from scrimmage.
Down! Blue lady! Blue lady's hot!
Peterson to the outside. And run out of bounds at the 35-yard line.
You see the blocking here, and then the lead block Just a nice job getting up to the second level. Everybody's continuing to block Michael Jenkins on the outside. When you've got a runner like Adrian Peterson, you just try to get a body on a body and let him pick the spot. It's just an excellent job, really, by everybody on that offensive front, as well as the wide receivers on the outside.
A 29-yard run for Peterson.
Louis!
Ponder just throws it into the turf in a wise decision, being chased by Charlie Pepper. Well, coming up on the Visa halftime report, Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy will be along with scores and highlights and tell you all about the big homecoming for Tim Tebow. Cam Newton picking up a big win. Boy, how about the season so far for Cam Newton, another rookie quarterback?
I've been real impressed with Cam Newton. I'll be honest, I didn't anticipate that he would come in and throw the ball as effectively as he has this early in his career, but he is making some outstanding throws.
Threw for over 400 yards against this Green Bay team. Ponder caught from behind by Matthews.
Yeah, and that's where you've got to be real careful, you know, because as I was saying a little bit earlier, in college you can escape these types of rushes. He knows he's got pressure, and typically you would be able to then get up in the pocket, pick up positive yardage. Ponder was still thinking that maybe he can throw the ball down the field, hesitated a little bit. Like I said, Clay Matthews, this guy does not take a play off. That's a good play right there, because right now every yard's going to make a difference in terms of trying to come away with a field goal on this drive. If you're Ponder right now, yeah, you'd like to pick up the first down, but if nothing else, take the check down underneath, help your kicker on the field goal attempt.
Well, they just do get off the play. Blitz coming. Ponder throws, and it's behind the intended receiver, Aroma Shadu. So this would be right around a 51, 52-yard field goal try. And we know that Ryan Longwell has more than enough leg for that. Although it should be noted, Longwell, who has 22 career field goals from 50 yards or longer, has not had one since 2009. You can rewrite that script. Well, 2-minute offense just before the half, and Longwell drills it from 52 yards out. And for the first half anyway, in this his first NFL start, Vikings have to feel very good about the decision they made at quarterback.
Yeah, no question. I think that, you know, again, going back to the first play of the game, you know, for a guy who's nervous, good call by Bill Musgrave, the offensive coordinator, getting his young quarterback out on the edge, let him see all the danger, but to connect on that, I think that settled him right in.
Powell took a knee. It's hard to believe watching this game Green Bay only has 10 points, especially when you look at some of these numbers, especially for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, no, with the numbers that they've put up, you know, you would certainly think that they would have more points than they've had. Of course, the fumbled punt, and then you get limited on the opportunities that you otherwise would have had.
Well, the two big sacks by Jared Allen really hurt. One forced a punt, the other forced a field goal. Rodgers was looking down the field, dumps it off to Starks. He's up to the 33. Packers have all 3 timeouts left. This moment's away from halftime, and Kurt Menefee, what's coming up?
Well, in case you're wondering what happens before the Visa halftime report, this is really it. These guys do this. Meanwhile, everybody else works. They get the scores, highlights, including a big comeback for Tim Tebow. We'll have that for you when you can see on the Visa halftime.
Well, look at your old head coach, Jimmy.
No wonder he doesn't want to get back into football. Looks pretty comfortable there in studio.
Boy, does he ever.
Howie's getting a little work done. I'm not sure what the other two were doing.
Estran nowhere to be found. Some of the headliners from early on, winners, Newton, Foster, and Forte over in London.
figured Jimmy would have been tweeting.
Nelson across the middle, close to midfield, 35 seconds left, and a flag is down.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 98. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's LaTroy Guyon.
Yeah, and it's not much, but this is the two-step rule that once the ball's out of the quarterback's hand, you cannot hit him after your second step hits the ground. So ball out of the quarterback's hand, you have less than 2 steps before contact can be made, and clearly Guyon had taken more than the 2 steps, and so even though it didn't look like much, that was the call.
Well, instead of having the ball at their own 49, Packers are now at the Minnesota 36. Starks does not run out of bounds. He gets to the 29. Green Bay will spend a second timeout. Packers have 1 timeout remaining. You know, Mike McCarthy told us the other day, look, I'm going to remind my team, back in 2009, we faced a rookie quarterback making his first NFL start, a winless Tampa Bay team down in Tampa, and the Buccaneers stunned them 38-28.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that got Mike McCarthy's attention is the fact that they're playing here in Minnesota against a division rival. I mean, when you have those type of rivalry games, you know, I know from experience when we would play some of the teams that we would play that, you know, the records really don't mean all that much, and especially for a prideful team like Minnesota who has, you know, it doesn't seem like much this year at 1-5, but it was just 2 years ago that this team was playing in the championship game. So there are still some good players on this team, and he knew they were going to be in a dogfight.
Ready, go!
Second down. Nelson for a first down catch to the 22. Ryder's going to try and get him set and spike it. 10 seconds remain.
Well, he wants to save that last time out for his field goal team, and so if you spike it, then you're able to at least take one more shot. You know, from where they're at on the field right now at the 22-yard line, Aaron Rodgers does not have to throw it into the end zone. Now, what you have to concern yourself with is there are only 10 seconds, so you can't be running around if you're Aaron Rodgers in the pocket and complete a pass, and then that receiver's got to know how much time's on the clock as well. If he catches it and the clock's running, he's got to have that clock in his head, knowing whether to go down and get the timeout or whether or not he should go for it and try to score.
Offense. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
After the penalty, backed up to the 27-yard line. 10 seconds remaining until halftime. Don't know if he intentionally tried to drop it or make sure no one would intercept it. But if Starks catches that ball and goes to the turf, he's right up against it.
Well, he's up against it, but they've got the 1 timeout left, so they could have used that. So, no, I don't think that. I think he was trying to catch it, just didn't do a very good job of securing it.
Well, 45-yard field goal try by Crosby. Told you he set the Packer record, hitting on his 18th consecutive regular season field goal earlier in the game. And you can make it now 19 in a row for Mason Crosby. So Rodgers and the Packers in the final minute get down the field, collect the field goal, and a good first half. Lisa, halftime report coming up after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Very impressive first NFL start for Christian Ponder. Of course, the Vikings have been down this road before. They've led at halftime in 4 of their 6 games. They've lost 3 of those 4. Troy, they've been outscored in the second half in games this year by nearly 70 points. But I got to believe they feel pretty good about the way this first half has gone.
No, I would think they feel very good about it, especially because of the fact they're starting a rookie at Christian Ponder. He's been outstanding, and so you come into the game with a little bit of reservations as to how you're going to play. Here you are leading at halftime, so they've got to feel a little bit differently. Yet, on past experiences, they know that they've given up, some of these big leads. I really think the key, though, for Minnesota is they have got to be able to get to Aaron Rodgers and get him out of his comfort zone, even though the Packers, didn't put up a ton of points there in the first half, considering how many yards they had. Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball again awfully well.
Well, we invite you to follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Rodgers and the Packers will get the ball to begin the second half. Those first 3 weeks of the year were just killer losses for Minnesota. Led in San Diego 17-7. Led at halftime in week 2 17-0. Then week 3 blew a 20-0 lead against Detroit. And it really set the tone for what is a 1-5 record coming into this matchup today. Bob will take a knee. Let's check in along the sideline with Pam.
Well, Tom, Packers coach Mike McCarthy says he feels that the Packers are doing a pretty good job on Christian Ponder. He said, though, he is worried about his own team protecting the football and getting off the field on third down. Leslie Frazier, meantime, also praising his quarterback. He also said that Ponder's doing a great job recognizing things early, getting rid of the football early. He also says a good goal of theirs is to get the Packers offense to have to settle for field goals. Back to you.
Pam, thank you very much. Green Bay comes out in an empty backfield.
Ready, go!
And movement in the backfield. And they give it to Cobb. And that's a gain of maybe 2. Not the reason, but certainly one of the reasons why Minnesota has this lead. They took advantage of the game's only turnover.
Yeah, that was a big turnover. For Green Bay, taking a possession offensively out of their offense's hands, but more importantly for Minnesota, they were able to capitalize on that and come away with a touchdown.
Jared Allen had a couple of sacks in the first half, both of them coming on third downs.
Ready, go!
Rodgers looking and left alone is Jennings, and he will go to the end zone. How has Greg Jennings left that wide open?
Well, they were in a too-deep look, Tom, and the corner turned him loose, expecting the safety to take him over the top. Instead, you're going to see him right here, the safety. He comes up on Donald Driver, and when he did, then there was nobody back there to take on Greg Jennings. You see, Asher Allen, he lets him go, which was the right thing to do. But he's got to get safety help over the top.
Well, no, Jennings has ever had an easier 79-yard reception than that for a touchdown. And just like that, after 2 plays here in the second half, Green Bay jumps in front.
Trying to figure out exactly which safety it was. I couldn't get a read. It's right here. You're going to see it. It looks like it's Hussein Abdullah. And he's going to jump Donald Driver, thinking that's where Aaron Rodgers was going with the ball, and then that freed up Greg Jennings up the sidelines. You think back to last week's game against the Chicago Bears. Devin Hester ran right by Abdullah in that game. They were in a perfect coverage to minimize the big play down the field, and yet Abdullah misplayed that ball last week. In this coverage, there's no way they should have given up a play like that to Greg Jennings for a touchdown.
Infrequently does Greg Jennings' name very often come up when you talk about some of the game's best receivers, but based on what he has done over the last 4 years, it's hard to leave his name out of that conversation.
What's interesting is when he came in as a rookie, Brett Favre was the starting quarterback, and he talked about it back then that From day one, you knew that guy was special. They're saying the same thing right now about Randall Cobb.
So now Ponder and company will have to answer. Well, as they're getting ready for Game 4 of the World Series, we take a look inside the Texas Rangers clubhouse in Arlington. And they're watching the Cowboys. Dick Stockton and John Lynch on the call there. Rangers needing a win to even that series coming up later tonight on Fox.
Josh Hamilton was at Cowboys Stadium for the coin toss of that game against the Rams.
Ponder to throw on first down in the second half, and this one knocked down by Matthews. Anthony Herrera, by the way, is back in right guard for Minnesota after leaving the field hurt in the second quarter.
Well, that's got to make Christian Ponder feel a lot better, knowing that he's got a veteran guy on that offensive line. And talked about it coming in. The last thing you want to see, last thing the Vikings want to see, is this turn into a shootout. With Christian Ponder, but yet that's what it's shaping up to be right now.
Peterson stood up by Desmond Bishop, but able to stay on his feet, a gain of almost 6.
Pam Oliver talked about Leslie Frazier and how happy he was with the things Christian Ponder was seeing and getting to within the offense. That shouldn't come as a surprise. He's a smart young man. He earned his college degree in his second year at Florida State, got his MBA, and was working on his second master's at the time that he was drafted last April.
Good for him. Well, they're going to roll him out on third down, and he'll try and get there with his feet. But didn't even get back to the line of scrimmage. So 3 and out on the first possession for Ponder in Minnesota.
Just not anything there, and that's the negative when you're talking about moving the pocket. So as a quarterback, when you're sprinting to one side or the other, yeah, you can see all the danger. You can get away from the traffic inside. You can get away from the blitzes. But then you're only working half the field. So there's less field for the defense that they have to cover. And that time the Packers did a nice job covering it up.
Chris Kluwe puts a foot on it. Cobb to 26. And he's got some daylight. He beats the punter. And he's caught down at the 32-yard line. Big return by Cobb, who fumbled a punt return chance earlier.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Ram Trucks. Guts, Glory, Ram. By Universal Pictures Tower Heist, starring Ben Stiller and Eddie Murphy. Tower Heist, November 4th. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
42-yard punt return by Randall Cobb after a 49-yard punt. So Green Bay gets the ball back already for a second time in this second half with a 3-point lead.
Easy. Black 97. 319.
Starks cuts it back to the inside. He's to the 28-yard line.
You go back and take a look at this return, and Everson Griffin here, defensive lineman, number 97, in the hustle that he exhibits on this play. I think he saves a touchdown. Randall Cobb is up the sideline, and he's about the only one there that's going to be able to make a play. I'm not real sure that Toby Gerhart was going to be able to run him down. That was great hustle by a big guy, getting all the way across the field, and we'll find out what happens on this drive for the Green Bay Packers, but he may have saved 7 points.
Ready, go!
4 and down before it got started.
False start. Number 75 offense. 5-yard penalty remains, second down.
Second-year tackle Brian Bulaga.
I know Mike McCarthy nor does any coach for that matter, like these pre-snap penalties. Drives them crazy. You just kind of get the feeling with the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, because they have so much confidence offensively, that, you know, okay, what's the difference? You know, if it's 2nd and 6, 2nd and 11, no big deal, you know, and that's kind of the way that they've been playing, because they've got so many guys. I'm not sure what happened to him.
That's the umpire, Butch Hanna. He just walked off the field, and they're taking a look at him on the sideline. Rodgers guns it over the middle. Jones inside the 10, and you're right. 2nd and 11, no big deal. 1st and goal.
You know, a lot of times we point out the drops by these Packers receivers, but we don't talk enough about the great catches like this one right here. You know, a ball that was behind him, he's expecting it out in front, but it was thrown behind him, and the reason was because Rodgers recognizes the relationship there with the safety driving on the ball. Rodgers actually put it in a good spot, but James Jones makes the adjustment and makes that a nice play.
Well, the beat goes on for Aaron Rodgers. Bounces off a tackle, run out of bounds inside the 5. 20th career 300-yard passing game, the 6th this year for Rodgers. And by the way, the 6 300-yard games this year, already a season high in his career. He had 5 last year.
300 yards, and there's over 10 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. You know, I mean, not just for Aaron Rodgers has been unbelievable, but I think we're really watching a golden time for quarterback play in the NFL.
Touchdown in the back of the end zone to Jermichael Finley. Well, the thing you always forget about until you actually see Rodgers in person is how athletic he is and is able to move around.
Well, I think the Green Bay Packers got a little tired of hearing how they got shut out last week against the St. Louis Rams. So they decided, okay, well, this last 30 minutes, they're going to cut it loose, and they have. That's why I say you just kind of feel like, you know, the Vikings have done what they could defensively to try to minimize the points, but Aaron Rodgers has just had too much time. He's only had 3 incompletions. About 2 of those were drops. And he's on fire.
Point after is good. Rodgers today. There's a flag down. Rodgers today has hit on 20 out of 23. 3 touchdowns.
After the field goal is good, we have running into the kicker. Kicking team, the 5-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. Timeout.
So everything going right for the Packers. Another monster day, and we have nearly an entire half to go for Rodgers. "17 unanswered points. In fact, Green Bay has scored 17 points in the last 4 minutes and 34 seconds.
Aaron Rodgers hasn't even broken a sweat yet.
Mike McCarthy said, I wasn't happy with the second half being shut out against St. Louis last week. Already 2 touchdowns in the second half today.
Today's game is sponsored by Verizon. Get coverage of every NFL game on NFL Mobile. Call Star NFL from your Verizon phone to get NFL Mobile.
In his last 17 starts, including the playoffs, Packers are 15-2. Rodgers has thrown 45 touchdowns against just 7 interceptions. Real nice play made by Tramon Williams.
I thought it was interesting when we were talking to Mike McCarthy. He was a little late getting to visit with us the other day. He was in a quarterback meeting, and I liked your comment. How much is there to talk about in those quarterback meetings when you got a quarterback playing at the level that Aaron Rodgers is?
Confusion there by Ponder, and he makes makes the most of it, depending on where they spot it. He's about a half yard short of a first down. Let's go back to Kurt Menefee.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals trying to do the comeback thing on the Pittsburgh Steelers. At home, Kevin Cobb picking up with LaRod Stevens-Howling. The Pittsburgh area native who went to the University of Pittsburgh scores against the Steelers. 73 yards, makes it a 3-point game in the third quarter. Tom, Troy, and Pam.
It's been an otherwise ugly year for the Cardinals.
Down! Ready! Blue lights hot!
Peterson for a first down carry up to the 35. You know, you followed up, though, in asking Mike McCarthy about those quarterback meetings, and then you asked Aaron Rodgers a little bit later. And, you know, one thing that's been made pretty much on a week in and week out basis in the local media in Green Bay and all of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, about what receiver was involved in the offense and what receivers weren't involved in the offense. And it seems like, you know, Rodgers is getting a little weary and tired of talking about that.
Down! Hot!
Ponder going for a Roma Shadu. Batted away.
No, you're right, Tom. The Packers they've reached a point where now it's not about so much whether they win or lose as much as it is, you know, how do they look doing it. You know, for a team that came into this game 6-0, and you know, yeah, every team's got some flaws, but you know, I went through that as well when I was playing. After you win your first Super Bowl, and then you know the expectations obviously are higher, and especially with a team like this, it's got so many weapons that you know you're constantly being asked kind of the negatives or the things you're not doing well, and it takes its toll.
Peterson wrapped up by Bishop, spun down at the 40. Percy Harvin has not been in the game to begin this half. Pam Oliver, what do we know about that?
Yeah, the wide receiver and exciting return man has re-injured his ribs. He has been on the injured list all week with that problem. His return is questionable. Back to you.
I think that's one of the concerns with Percy Harvin. You know, he can do so much for this team, and they try to utilize him in so many different ways that they really are. They're worried about wearing him down, and he's dealt with, of course, we know about the migraines. He's dealt with a lot of injuries, though, and they need a few other playmakers on the offense.
Intercepted by Charles Woodson.
This is a little bit of what I was talking about earlier in this game, just the understanding the relationship between receiver and defender, and Charles Woodson in the middle. You know, he's able to undercut this throw.
.802 to play in the third. Green Bay already a pair of touchdowns in this half to take a 10-point lead.
Green 18! Green 18!
Gain of close to 9.
We'll go back and take a look at the interception. You're going to see the man-to-man coverage right here with Charles Woodson on Visanthe Shanko right before the ball's thrown. The relationship here between defender and receiver. The quarterback, and he'll understand this as he continues to get more and more throws in practice, but more importantly in the games. That's when it's assimilated. But it's hard to know that you're not going to get that type of separation in man-to-man coverage, and that's why I say those outside breaking routes, you've got to be very precise, but you've also got to anticipate exactly how good that cover guy is that's on your man.
Ran a carry for the first down down to the 31. We invite you to get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL right now. I've never been smart enough to figure out that passer rating, but I'm told that's a perfect number.
Green 19! Green 19!
What I don't understand is how is that perfect when he's had 3 incompletions? I mean, if he had completed all of his passes, why wouldn't that number be better? You know, that's, I think, the frustrating part. But you know, there are those that are critical of the quarterback rate, and I think in general it's a pretty good barometer as to how a quarterback is performing. And the fact that Aaron Rodgers, the fact that he's perfect in this game says all you need to know. He's looked perfect to me. But he's had a quarterback rating of 110 or better in every game this year. We talk about it. When the quarterback plays well in this league, typically your team wins. He's played great. They're undefeated.
Jones tries to lunge forward to get first down yardage. He's a couple of yards short. You think about the 3 incompletions in the game. One of them was a spike in the 2-minute drill. Less than a minute in the first half. Another was a ball out of bounds that I almost wondered, probably incorrectly so, but wondered if Starks almost intentionally tried not to catch it. And the other one was a drop on the wide open throw across the middle by Cobb.
You don't think Starks is trying to send Rodgers a message, do you?
Got to get that completion.
Ready, go! Ready, go!
Blitz coming. And a flag comes in. Jordy Nelson never turned around.
Yeah, Cedric Griffin got his hands on Jordy Nelson. I'm not certain that Jordy Nelson would have been able to get to it if he hadn't had his hands on him, but it was a pretty easy call.
Pass interference, number 23, defense. Automatic first down.
Yeah, right at the end of that route, and Cedric Griffin, he has struggled this year. He got injured last year with a knee injury, and he just really has not been the same. In fact, Leslie Frazier talked about it coming into this game that he was going to learn a lot more about Cedric Griffin in this ball game today, and there were going to be some decisions that were going to have to be made with regards to his play. Well, Chris Cook, as we've talked about, he's not here. Antoine Winfield, I don't know that they really have many options right now.
Coon, 3 yards. You can hear all the Packer fans.
Coon's the guy who ought to be complaining about not getting the ball. I mean, when you say all these weapons in the offensive huddle.
What do you mean? He's got 1 catch for a touchdown.
Well, that's what he is. He's a touchdown. All he does is catch touchdowns or run for touchdowns. I think that was just his 7th rushing attempt on the season, and he's tied for the team lead with two rushing touchdowns. So he's making the most of limited touches.
Stuff to the line of scrimmage. He'll bring up 3rd down and goal. The other thing, you watch more and more football, and Troy, I know you talk about it all the time. The giveaway takeaway thing, and then do you score touchdowns in the red zone? Do you turn the ball over in the red zone? In Aaron Rodgers' career, he has thrown 1 interception in the red zone. That is a staggering stat. 1.
That's why Mike McCarthy's not afraid to throw it down here.
And he'll just take the hit.
Pretty good coverage around the board right there. Mike McCarthy can't be happy about seeing his franchise quarterback take a hit, but the ball's got to come out quick. And the windows, for those at home would say, well, why not throw it to Greg Jennings? Well, those windows are pretty small, and you're trying to fit a ball into small spaces with defenders reacting. But that's not a real vicious hit, but I'm sure Mike McCarthy would have just liked to have seen him throw that one away. But then he would have had his 4th incompletion, and that's not good.
No. 24-yard field goal try. So, Packers tack on 3. They've scored 17 in the second half. 30-17, Green Bay in front of Christian Ponder, who makes his first NFL start today for Minnesota. Ponder on the very first play from scrimmage connected on a 72-yard pass play to Michael Jenkins. 2 plays later threw a touchdown to Visante Shenko and had a very good first half. Did not turn it over, hit on 8 of 14, but here in the second half 0 for 3 with an interception. J. Smith. John going on down there. Early games next week, week 8, NFL on Fox, some good ones. And then late in the afternoon, some will see the Lions in Denver. Troy, you and I will be north of the border in Toronto. For the Redskins and Bills, it starts with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show at 9 Eastern.
Down! Blue ready! Blue race hot!
Ponder under heavy heat, nearly had it tipped into the arms of a Packer defender, Eric Walden, all over him.
Yeah, another dangerous one when, again, behind and ball gets tipped up. That easily, could have been his second consecutive interception. We talk about the first play of the game and the 70-yard completion, which was outstanding. And, since then, though, they really have not been able to get the ball down the field. And I go back to my earlier point, it has nothing to do with Christian Ponder, just in general. With a running back like Adrian Peterson, you would expect a lot bigger plays down the field in the passing game.
Big play in the run game here. Peterson up to the 45. Up over 100 yards today for Adrian Peterson, 109.
Well, kick out here and then a down block. And you see the space there. Charlie Johnson, the left tackle, he does a really good job just securing that edge and giving Adrian Peterson a lane. He's a guy I wouldn't want to have to try to tackle one-on-one in the open field, I promise you.
Third 100-yard rushing game this year for Peterson. Good protection. And he underthrew it, and Woodson's there to get it for a second time.
Pretty good read there by Christian Ponder. Actually, you're going to see Charles Woodson is on Michael Jenkins, and he's open. But you've got to lay that throw, because what you're going to see is what Christian Ponder saw. And he tries driving this throw, and so when you drive it flat, it gives Charles Woodson then a chance to undercut the throw, very similar to what happened on the other interception. But if you lay that over the top, that's open in the NFL.
Flip ahead of starts, and the nothing play turns into a five-yard gain. Told you a lot of Packer fans here, and that little angel right there, she's hooked.
That's great. That's good stuff. I'll tell you, Christian Ponder, I'll go back to it. I think he's had a nice outing. The bar's been raised, as we've seen with some of these rookies, the way that they've had their debuts. But these are all things that he's going to learn. He's going to learn the relationships between defenders and receivers and get more and more comfortable and acclimated in the pocket. And I think they found themselves a pretty good player, though.
There'll be a 30-second timeout.
Now, you think about that little girl, Troy. You have little girls. I have a little girl. When that little girl goes to school tomorrow, oh boy, she's the most popular kid in the class.
Well, not only will she have a ball to take to show and tell, but all of her classmates are looking at her right now. She's a celebrity.
What I mean. She's a homecoming queen about 10 years early.
Yes, she is. It's a nice gesture. Nice gesture there by Charles Woodson. And speaking of Charles Woodson, what a career he's had, but what a career he's had since coming to the Green Bay Packers. I mean, here was a guy when he was still in Oakland. I thought his career was really about over when the Green Bay Packers signed him, and little did I know it was just beginning. But he has been outstanding.
Green 18! Green 18!
Third down.
We saw Donovan McNabb over there talking to Christian Ponder, as he said he would. try to give some advice and help him as best he can. He says he's got a lot of football left in him. I don't know that he's going to get an opportunity to be a starter anywhere again unless there's an injury or certainly something happens, to Christian Ponder. But he's another guy who's had a great career. How about him? He comes in as the starter to start the season, and they got younger by 7 years at the quarterback position from a year ago.
Yeah. When Brett Favre began the year, 40+. And dropped all the way back to the 40, which will take him out of field goal range as Rodgers. And there's Everson Griffin, who's just found his wind from tracking down Randall Cobb on that punt return. Let's go back and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, Carson Palmer didn't start for the Raiders today against the Chiefs, but he has played in the second half, not particularly well on this one. Throws it right to Brandon Flowers for a 55-yard interception return. 28-0 Chiefs all over Oakland. And Tom, Troy, and Pam.
They're going to try a field goal from 58 yards away. 56, a career best. And it is good by Mason Crosby. A career best 58-yarder, and he's now made 20 in a row.
Perfect snap, perfect hold. He got all of it.
Good thing would have made it from 68. Of course, he's a guy that replaced the Minnesota kicker Ryan Longwell for these Green Bay Packers. So 33-17. Seconds left in the third. They honored a great today in Minnesota. Our then and now with former Viking Chris Dolman. 150 sacks during his career, honored last night by the team at the alumni reception party. And during halftime today, officially inducted into the Vikings Ring of Honor. Has twice been a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He looks good.
Sure does. It was a nice halftime ceremony they had for him, and a lot of former players came in to see that happen.
Man, is this guy something. Still on his feet with a chance to take it. Caught from behind to the 25. Adrian Peterson on the final play of the third quarter. Fox NFL Sunday, back after your local message. Green Bay pitches a shutout in the third quarter, scoring 20 unanswered points. But how about that final run before the end of the quarter?
Yeah, I think Chuck Foreman was down there at halftime for Chris Dolman's induction, and of course the longtime great for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm sure he's enjoying this performance as he does each and every Sunday.
Matthews untouched. That'll be a 4-yard loss on the give to Peterson.
Well, they're trying to kick him out with left guard Steve Hutchinson, and he just gets a free run right on Adrian Peterson, and he almost could have taken the hand off. He got there so fast.
Well, the Packers feel a lot better about the health of both Matthews and Charles Woodson. Matthews been bothered by a quad injury going back to the very early part of the year, and likewise for Woodson with a sore knee and a sore foot. They generally have not practiced since the first week of the year. You know, as you get in the middle of the week and later in the week, both of them did this week.
Yeah, that helps them a lot. And of course, they've been banged up in other areas as well. Tremont Williams, this is about as healthy as he's been all season long. Morgan Burnett, who came in for Nick Collins, he broke his hand last week in practice. He's been playing with his club on his hand. Charlie Pepper, of course, he's back in the lineup, but they're finally starting to get a little bit of help.
Had an eye on Jenkins down in the end zone, but he was covered beautifully by Jared Bush.
Got Jared Bush, who's getting his opportunity because of Sam Shields, who suffered a concussion in last week's win. I think this Packers defense is one of those teams, I think, that's going to only get better as the year goes along. One, they're going to get healthier, but more importantly, I just think Dom Capers is way too good as a defensive coach, and he's going to continue to figure out the things that this group does, not what necessarily did last year, and they'll get better as they go along.
46-yard field goal try by Longwell right down the middle. So the bleeding stops temporarily. It's down to a 2-possession game, 33-20 Green Bay.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. By Windows 7. And by Pizza Hut, where we're big fans of delicious pizza deals, only at your Pizza Hut.
We remind you, November, Fox Sports steps into the octagon with an epic heavyweight title fight. And we're going to tell you more about that after this kickoff. I know many of you are already looking forward to it on November the 12th. From the goal line. Longwell got in there on a stop up to the 32. #1 ranked contender in the world, Junior Dos Santos squares off with undefeated world champion Cain Velasquez. A must-see live event only on Fox November the 12th. That's a Saturday night.
Get him into the octagon. Yes, sir. Love it.
You'll be dialed in, I think, the next day, if I'm not mistaken. You have the Giants and the Patriots up in New England. That'll be a good one.
It should be. It's always fun to go to New England.
Timeout. Mark McCarthy wondering why. Of course, most weeks, that's about all they have to complain about. .43 to play. Green Bay with a 33-20 lead, and Rodgers rolling to his left, looking deep down the field, and then just throws it out of bounds. Only the 4th incompletion of the day for Aaron Rodgers.
He wanted to go to Jordy Nelson for a home run. Now, to make this throw, you've got to be afforded a lot of time, which he had, and then you've got to have a heck of an arm, which he also has. He was just turned a little bit. Aaron was there that he didn't think he could get enough on it with Griffin then barreling down on him, so he had to go elsewhere and just throw it away. But that was basically a one-route pattern there, a one-man route, I should say, trying to go for the jugular.
On the ground with Aaron Grant and Ryan Grant. He's back to the line of scrimmage. Chad Greenway there on the stop. Eight different Packers have caught passes today from Aaron Rodgers. Ironically enough, the Packers' all-time leading receiver, number 80, Donald Driver, is not one of them. So a much-needed stop right there by the Minnesota defense, and they're going to give their offense a chance to get a little bit closer here with nearly an entire quarter to play.
That was an important stop, and now you know, it's up to the offense and Christian Ponder to see if he can't turn this into a one-possession game.
Sherrill's waiting. Mast a big punt. Chasing Sherrill's inside the 10. And a nice return. Out up to the 23. Flag is coming in. I understand on the far side of the field. We didn't see it. Seemingly every punt return in this day and age has a flag in it.
Well, it sure seems like they could throw one on every play anyway.
During a return, illegal block in the back. Number 21, receiving team. After this sort of goal, first down, timeout.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving.
After the penalty, Christian Ponder and the Vikings start this drive from their own 7-yard line. 12.5 minutes to play and a 33-20 Green Bay lead. Gain of a yard by Adrian Peterson. Short stuff, 4 out of 9. 10 to 19 yards, 3 out of 7 with an interception. And had the 172-yard completion to Jenkins, the very first play from scrimmage.
Yeah, but overall, just 4 shots. You know, over 20 yards that have been taken in this game.
Ponder will keep it himself.
You know, one thing Christian Ponder is going to have to learn how to do is to get down and protect himself. You know, I mean, speaking from experience in college, you know, and we certainly see it from Tim Tebow. Of course, that's his style. That's not necessarily Ponder's style, but you know, you want to try to minimize the hits as best you can. He was talking just the other day that he doesn't even know how to slide. So I think that somebody will be teaching him that here soon.
Catch by Shanko as Woodson again gambled, trying to come up with a third interception, and this time a half step late.
Close. It was close. It was an awfully good throw by Christian Ponder. And you're right, Charles Woodson, he sees that ball come out and he thinks he's going to have a chance to get him another one, but a perfect pass, and it was a nice play there by Shanko as well as Ponder.
Shanko maybe more than anybody misses the one big year Brett Favre here had in 09. But the two of them together had a good thing working. Misread there and nearly intercepted again by Woodson. Well, you're talking about taking the shots down the field, Troy. The Vikings are one of only 4 teams, with more rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns. And look what they average per play on the ground and via the air.
Yeah, that's staggering. I mean, 5.1 yards per rush is really good. That's third best in the NFL. If they continue that through the year, they'll be #1 in the league. But just over 5 yards per pass play, that's pretty bad.
Third down upcoming. Peterson up to the 37.
You know, and right now that it's easy, you know, down 13 points to start pressing a little bit and think that you've got to hurry up and score. But the reality of it is there's still plenty of time. All they need to do is get down the field and score, you know, with a touchdown, and then it changes everything. Then at least you're putting a little bit of pressure back on Green Bay. In this second half, there's really not been any pressure on Green Bay offensively to feel any need to have to go down there and come away with more points.
Blitz coming. Ponder tucks it. First down. He doesn't slide. He dives.
That's a start. You know? But this is really where he's comfortable. You know, and it happens a lot. That looked like it might have even been a design. In fact, I believe it was, because number 19 Devin Aroma-Shadu, he was down the field blocking. I think that was a design quarterback draw that Bill Musgrave called up.
Down, cut.
Through the hands of Shanko. Let's go back and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Oh, Tom and Troy, how about Albert Pujols? 3 home runs, 6 RBI last night in Game 3. He's leading the Cardinals back in the battle tonight. Game 4 of the World Series comes your way following the OT tonight. Just a reminder.
Great day this time of the year. Weekends come around between the LCS and the World Series here on Fox. Followed, of course, by football.
Down.
Troy and Joe will be calling the World Cup in 2 years from now. Flag comes down. Ponder tripped up by Desmond Bishop.
Holding, number 61 offense. 10-yard penalty, still second down.
Yeah, that's the center, Joe Berger, right here. He's got B.J. Raji. He's getting a little help there by Steve Hutchinson. And as soon as Ponder started to escape, that's when B.J. tried to get away and the hold took place. You know, for a young quarterback like Ponder, you know what happens a lot of times, you'll see younger quarterbacks run more than you will veteran guys because they're not seeing the field as well as an experienced quarterback does. And so if there's any gray area out there, you're a little hesitant on what you see within the routes, then you typically tuck it and run it.
Peterson got some of that yardage back up to the 45-yard line. They'll bring up a 3rd down and 13.
3rd and 13, and I would think that they'll start thinking about whether or not they're going to have 2 downs to pick up this 1st down. As we see Adrian Peterson come off the field, this has been a good drive for Minnesota coming off of their own 7-yard line. But with 8 minutes or so to play, I don't know how many more opportunities they're going to get.
Wow, what a nice job by Ponder. And across the middle of the field. Catch is made by Greg Camarillo.
Number 52, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
And Matthews, a late hit.
And you're going to see Camarillo, what he does is a great job of opening himself up. He sees that his quarterback's in danger, and then he slides away from the flow and gives Ponder a place to go with the ball. You're going to see him here. He sees now Ponder's in trouble, looks back, now he slides back away from Desmond Bishop and gives him a chance to complete the pass. Now here's at the end of that play is the hit on Ponder.
Well, that's a tough penalty.
I don't know about that. I think that's a bad call.
Down. Ready. Right foot.
Michael Jenkins with a touchdown. Well, this one not quite in the books yet.
Ponder does a good job of hanging in the pocket, but the delivery on this throw is to a 6'4" guy. He puts it up high. And you see, again, Woodson's anticipating a ball thrown out in front that maybe he'll be able to undercut and make the interception, but because it was high, it was a place where only Jenkins could make the play.
So a 33-27 game. That's a Buckeye beating a Wolverine for that touchdown. Plays 93 yards. Big 3rd down catch on a 3rd and 13 by Camarillo. Matthews whistled for the penalty, and then the touchdown strike Ponder to Jenkins.
That's a big time drive right there, coming off their own 7-yard line and converting a big 3rd down.
Ponder hit on 3 of 5. He had missed on his prior 8 with a couple of interceptions. So for the first time, perhaps all the second half, you brought it up earlier, a short while ago, a little pressure on this Green Bay offense now. Cobb dropped at the 19. Good coverage.
You're going to see that touchdown throw now by Ponder and the pressure that he's going to get and how he hangs in the pocket. He steps up. He takes the hit, but the delivery of the throw was what was key right there. Because of where he placed that, had he have let him and made it a perfect throw, that ball's either intercepted or at best incomplete. But he put it up high and gave Jenkins a chance to make the catch. You talk about the pressure placed on the Green Bay Packers now, turning this into a one-possession game and the crowd's into it. This team's handled pressure pretty well here in recent years.
Ho-hum. 15-yard pass completion to Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, what do? You know, the Vikings stacked the defensive front, expecting the Packers to try to run the ball and start taking a little bit of time off the clock, and Aaron Rodgers comes right out and delivers a strike.
Pitch it to Starks. Nice play by Griffin to come up and force Starks back to the inside where the Henderson brothers were there to meet him. Aaron and E.J. Henderson both starting alongside one another for the first time. Well, 6:35 to go, a 2nd and 12. Green Bay with a 33-27 lead over Minnesota. Christian Ponder making his first NFL start. Just took the Vikings down the field on a 93-yard drive, and now the biggest play of the game, perhaps. Of course, it's perhaps a little early to say that, but with 6 minutes to go, a 3rd down, and the Vikings need the ball back.
Well, the key right there was they're able to make the tackle on Driver as soon as he gets it. So far in this game, the Vikings have been outstanding getting off the field when they've gotten the Packers to 3rd down. Only 1 of 6 on 3rd downs here today.
Make it 1 of 7.
Yeah, just absolutely a miscommunication there with Aaron Rodgers, because he had him and he was expecting Greg Jennings to sit down in the hole. There was a hole there that Aaron sees. Greg Jennings didn't see it, so he's trying to work back to the middle of the field. Had he have stayed out where Rodgers was expecting him to be, that would have been an easy 3rd down conversion.
They nearly blocked it. And it will be downed inside the 5-yard line. Jarrett Bush down there. 64-yard punt. So now Christian Ponder will have a chance. Today in his first NFL start, took him right down the field on 3 plays, an early touchdown. But Rodgers completed his first 13 passes of the game. They scored 23 unanswered points, but then a field goal, the touchdown to Jenkins a moment ago. And here we are with 5:26 to go, and this young man from Colleyville, Texas, with a chance.
Well, it sure looked to me like Marcus Sherrills had an opportunity to get that ball before it rolled inside the 5-yard line. If he did, that was a huge mistake.
Adrian Peterson, who limped off the last drive, checks back in, and a 1st down gain of 3. Minnesota has all-time 3 timeouts remaining.
Well, it's never easy to go the length of the field in the NFL against any defense. We saw it on the previous possession. They went 93 yards, and they're going to have to go 98 yards on this possession if they're going to cash in.
That looked like a real nice throw. Good coverage by Woodson, but a pass Aroma should have made.
Yeah, it certainly hit him in the hands. Tight coverage there by Charles Woodson. This is the type of game he wants. He wants to get physical, and sure looked to me like contact was made beyond the 5 yards.
Second time in the game, Anthony Herrera, the right guard, has left the game. And Brandon Fusco is back in, third down. They will move the chains as he finds Visanthe Shenko.
That's just a nice job. Really, Visanthe Shenko running a good route to get separation. He comes off the field hobbling. But for Ponder to see the coverage, know they're in man, and Shenko outrunning Eric Walden and getting some separation, that's a big third down conversion right there, because if they don't make it and they punt it back to the Packers, there's a real good chance the Packers are at least going to be in a position then to get a field goal and turn this back into a two-possession game.
Wisely thrown out of bounds, chopping the clock at 4:13 to go. Shenko, by the way, comes back onto the field. There you see the numbers for Ponder, who made his NFL debut in the fourth quarter against Chicago last week.
Well, Shenko's on the field, but he's not. Something is certainly bothering him. He's not running real well.
Big Ryan Pickett waiting on Adrian Peterson, so another third down and long for Ponder and the Vikings.
Pretty good job of Ryan Pickett just holding his ground there in the middle. That's a lot of mass. Trying to get moved out. For the most part, this Vikings offensive line has done a nice job, but Ryan Pickett, a big body, he hangs in there and makes a key stop there on second and long.
3rd and 9. I think Green Bay has to spend its last time out. As you talked about the big body Ryan Pickett, it took him a little longer than some other guys to get to the sideline. First play from scrimmage in the game.
A good way to start. Good way to start even if you're a 12-year veteran. You know? But after that, you know, we haven't seen a lot of balls down the field. But what we have seen is we've seen a lot of Adrian Peterson. He's rushed for over 170 yards in this ball game. And so he's been able to take a lot of the pressure off of this young quarterback. And then just as important, the defense on third down has gotten off the field. And because of those things, and that last drive that Minnesota had coming off their 7-yard line, they've turned this into a heck of a ball game.
High snap. Ponder being chased by Wynn. And it's caught by Camarillo, the 36. So it should be noted right now that granted Minnesota has to get down the field and score a touchdown, but the Green Bay Packers are out of timeout should they need them.
There were about 3 receivers in the area. I wasn't real sure which one Ponder was trying to throw it to. But he threw it to the one he intended to, and that was Camarillo on the opposite side of the field working into his vision. But Shenko was there, Roma Shadu was there. Camarillo was the least open of the 3.
Jump ball for Jenkins. Caught but out of bounds. Tramon Williams may have landed awkwardly on that shoulder that's been bothering him since week 1.
Yeah, Tramon Williams, who was probably their best cover corner last year, it looked like he might have landed on that bad shoulder, Tom, a little bit slow getting up, and you know the snap's high, and so that's a little disconcerting in itself. But what composure he shows coming back to Camarillo, who how he found him, I don't know.
3 down, 50, Lion, down, ready, right foot.
That was nearly right into the arms. It would have been a third interception for Charles Woodson. Another third down.
This kind of goes back to what I was saying on their previous possession when they scored. Good thing that was a high throw. But with 3rd and 10 here, 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and then with 3 timeouts left, if they don't make it here, or if they pick up, let's say 5, do they try to go for it on 4th down, or do they trust that their defense can make a stop with their timeouts all intact?
Blitz coming. Gets it away and incomplete. Well, decision time for Leslie Frazier. And they're going for it.
Yeah, and I think this is the right call. I mean, even though the defense here as of late has done a good job of getting off the field, now they're going to now they're going to punt. It's asking a lot. Now they've got all 3 timeouts. The odds of converting on 4th and 10 aren't real good, but I don't know that the odds of stopping Green Bay from picking up a 1st down are all that good either.
Leslie Frazier, don't know if he changed his mind, but it looked like the offense originally was going to stay on the field, and the punt team was very late getting out.
Yeah, that's one of those decisions that a head coach makes, and conventional wisdom would say no, you have to punt there, and it really comes down to how much you trust your defense on their ability to get off the field.
Our football coverage doesn't end when the game is over. Afterwards, stick around for the OT. America's #1 post-game show presented by Lowe's, coming up right after our game, only on Fox.
Overall, they've been able to bottle up this Packers running game. Neither Starks or Grant, either one, have even rushed for 30 yards in this game. So if they give up a quick 1st down on a pass, they're still in decent shape. Obviously the Packers would like to run it.
And a good run. 16-yard carry by Starks. He was sprung loose on a good block by Kuhn in front of him.
Just a real nice hole right there along that right side for Starks. And so it forces Minnesota then to burn a timeout. But they do still have 2 timeouts left, and then they still have the 2-minute warning.
Of course, Edgar Bennett made a few of those carries back in his day. Boy, what a player he was.
He's a heck of a player. I played against him, and at one time he was the running back coach, and now he's coaching wide receivers. He started out as a player development guy within the organization, loves the coaching, and they've got a number of former players. Jerry Fontenot is now
early movement looked like the right tackle. Balaga started.
False start. Number 88 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
They got Finley standing right next to him. Mike McCarthy, of course, last year joined Bill Cowher, the only Super Bowl winning coaches to lead their teams to 3 road wins as a number 6 seed in the postseason en route to a world title. Everybody talks about the pressure as Minnesota's going to spend a timeout, and they're down to 1 left. The pressure of Aaron Rodgers in 08 when he took over for Brett Favre. I think it's easy for a lot of us to forget about the pressure for Mike McCarthy when you're taking over for Mike Holmgren. This guy's done a good job.
He really has. I think a lot of people were a little surprised when he got named the head coach, but he's done a remarkable job as a head coach. I think he's one of the top play callers in the league as well. I think he makes adjustments and approaches each game, you know, a little bit differently based on an opponent's weakness and his team's strengths, more so than just about any play caller in football right now. Of course, he's got a lot of strengths to work with on his side of the ball.
Starting right there.
But this is interesting right here, with still one timeout for the Vikings and still the 2-minute warning to work with. If they're able to make a stop, the Vikings could get the ball back with a lot of time left on the clock.
They may get the ball back if they can make a stop without using a timeout.
Ready, go!
But a first down carry on the best 2 runs of the afternoon by James Starks. And they're going to use, I believe, that final timeout.
Well, Josh Sitton, their right guard, does a remarkable job in run blocking, and there was a huge hole there on that side of the ball. You're going to see the seal right along that right side, and then James Starks able to get to that second level and make some people miss. And that's a great job of executing and picking up that first down.
Starks on his drive carries a 15, 4, and now 20, pushing his total to a very respectable number. We've talked the entire day about the duo of Rodgers and Jennings. So the decision made by Leslie Frazier, of course, to punt rather than go on 4th and 10, and now the Vikings are out of timeouts. 2-minute warning will stop it here. A 6-point Packer lead with 2 minutes to go.
Today's game is sponsored by AT&T. Get it faster with 4G. Rethink possible.
2nd and 11. 2 minutes to go. Both teams out of timeouts. Of course, it's far more important right now for the guys in purple. We're down to a minute 45 left. Minnesota out of timeouts, trailing by 6. We welcome those of you who watch the Packers. It's the Packers and the Vikings here. Watch the Cowboys beat up on St. Louis. Another huge day for Aaron Rodgers. A couple of interceptions for the future Hall of Famer Charles Woodson. Christian Ponder in his first NFL start. A couple of touchdowns, a couple of interceptions. 3rd down carry. And it's a first down run. 3 huge runs on his drive for James Starks.
Well, what's hard to believe is, as good as this defense has been over the years stopping the run, on this possession, when you knew that's what Green Bay was going to do, run the football, this defense could not come up with a stop.
So Leslie Frazier's Vikings are going to get a slip to 1-6 on the year. Starks on his drive, 6 carries, 55 yards. And for a team known for throwing the football, they got to feel real good about what they did on this final drive to ice this thing against a team that's tough to run against. And Green Bay, for the first time since 1962, goes to 7-0.
It was a great finish for the Green Bay Packers to get to 7-0, and it was a great start for that young man right there, Christian Ponder.
Packers will have a bye week next week, and then they will travel out west in a showdown with San Diego. More to come in a moment.